Good morning. This is for the Church of the Epiphany on 4th Lent, March 22nd, 2020. So this is the best I can do to be with you on this Sunday as we are all practicing our social distancing. So I thought I would record part of the sermon for tomorrow. Donna has sent you the text of the sermon already, but I thought I would try to do part of this at least for you, and not the whole thing because it might be too long. But I'll do the best I can. I will be looking at my script, so if I'm not looking at you, know that I'm with you anyway. Psalm 46, verse 11, was so important to us in the aftermath of 9/11. I was on Capitol Hill. We could hear the sonic boom from the Pentagon when the plane went down. And so every day we had noonday prayer for at least a month. And we comforted ourselves by saying the Psalms, especially the Psalms of comfort, like Psalm 23 and Psalm 46. So Psalm 46:11 says, "Be still then, and know that I am God." The scripture readings for today do not include this psalm, but they do include Psalm 23 and that powerful story from 1 Samuel of David's being anointed to be the shepherd king of Israel. And we have that great passage in John, actually, I think it's the longest gospel we have on a Sunday, of Jesus healing the man born blind. Jesus said, "I came into this world for judgment, so that those who do not see may see, and those who do see may become blind." So I'll reflect on the lessons a little bit, and particularly on Psalm 23 as it provides comfort for us. We are in uncharted waters. We had not expected to have to communicate this way and not be present with one another in the Holy Eucharist on Sundays, and I especially miss being with you all. People in 12-step programs learned long before the rest of us that we really have to take life one day at a time. So now we're doing that. I'll add it's particularly difficult for a teenage kid who's stuck at home now, but at least it's beautiful here today in the mountains of Brevard, and my son is out on the golf course and enjoying being outdoors. We miss a lot of life, I think, by being distracted, by being busy, by going here and there, by spending time on our digital devices. And we really miss communicating with each other, even though we don't realize it until now. Now we are forced to be at home for the most part. I worry about people who are alone, and as some of you are. I worry about people who are now at home in situations of domestic violence, and I pray very much for those. I think there must be some Lenten lesson in all of this for us, but I am not much inclined to that lesson. One of the things that I've learned to do is to pay more attention to what is around me. As you know, I'm a birder, and I particularly love watching the birds in our neighborhood, and I can drive around and see them as well. And it makes me realize how much we take so much of life for granted. Mr. Rogers, of the TV program, said that at times like this we should always look for the helpers. And I think that's really important right now. Brevard is a town of about 8,000 people, and we live 9 miles out from town down the Greenville Highway in a smaller community near Cedar Mountain. I've been overwhelmed at the generosity of my neighbors, of the small business owners, of those who are going out of their way to try to help each other. We have a favorite farmer, Jackie. We've always had a favorite farmer where we've lived, and we go to her farm stand as often as we can to support her and her family. So she's offering free school lunches, which is incredible. She and her family are struggling to make ends meet. They've leased this wonderful organic farm, Her husband's a disabled veteran, and yet they are offering free lunches for school students. I went by there today and yesterday to try to buy a few things from the farm stand, and she said, "You'll want to take a school lunch home for Jamie." And I thought, well, you can give this to people who really need it. She said, "No, we want him to have one too," which was incredible about that. And so I'm reminded of how much we need to practice gratitude. One of my favorite contemporary poets is Mary Oliver, and perhaps she is one of yours as well. She used to summer on Cape Cod, so that's one of the reasons I love her poetry. One of her poems is called Gratitude, and it's so appropriate for this time when we need to be thankful for what we have, even when we do not know what tomorrow will bring. And so the categories in her poem Gratitude, which is fairly long, are these. What did you notice? What did you hear? What did you admire? What astonished you? What would you like to see again? What was most tender? What was most wonderful? What did you think was happening? In this time of almost lockdown, these are things we can do during our Lenten fast, and how important to remember to be grateful for all that we have. Maybe we will notice the kindness of one another. Maybe we will notice the helpers. Maybe we will give thanks for our church, especially now that we are apart from one another. I encourage you to go online like I did last Sunday and enjoy the live broadcast from the Washington National Cathedral. That was especially wonderful for me as I spent a lot of time there as a volunteer chaplain in the Diocese of Washington at the cathedral, and also as chair of liturgy for the diocese. So I was always at the cathedral and I loved it very much. So this was comfort food, especially for me. So let me go to Psalm 23, the psalm appointed for this Sunday, the one we all memorized as children, of course. It's important to remember that this psalm follows Psalm 22, which we say in Holy Week. And we're reminded that the gospel writers have Jesus saying the opening verse of Psalm 22 from the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And maybe some of us can certainly feel that right now. And so we need to remember that the psalm of comfort comes right after that. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be in want. And then you go down a few verses and you read these lines, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. We need so much to be reminded in these difficult days that God appointed David to be the shepherd king of Israel, not to be a tyrant, not to have lorded over power, but rather to care for God's people. The reason bishops, and our own Bishop Jose, carry a crozier is because it's a shepherd's staff, and Bishop Jose is our chief shepherd and pastor in our diocese. God has promised to be with us always. Jesus reminded us of that, no matter what we face, and we are not in want, even though it feels like we are, and maybe some of us are having trouble paying our bills. We are not in want ultimately, and we are not in want spiritually, for sure. Our care for one another, using this image of God and Jesus as our shepherd, may help us through these times. God will feed us spiritually, and hopefully the kindness of others will feed us temporally, and we can help one another with that. Yes, we feel that we are walking through the valley of the shadow of death, and we are, because we are with the pandemic of COVID-19. But let us not be fearful, for God is with us. Let's be with each other as much as we can in our social distancing. Call one another. Send an old-fashioned card or letter to someone you've neglected. That's always a good Lenten thing to do. I'm reminded of a song from Glory and Praise that I learned at Cursillo, I expect, which I actually made in the Diocese of Western North Carolina in 1985, the chorus says, "Be not afraid, for I am with you." Well, let me start that again. "Be not afraid, I go before you, always. Come, follow me, and I will give you rest." The verses are apt for today. "You shall cross the barren desert, but you shall not die of thirst. You shall wander far in safety, though you do not know the way. You shall speak your words in foreign lands, and all will understand. You shall see the face of God and live." And the second verse says, "Blessed are your poor, for the kingdom shall be theirs. Blessed are you that weep and mourn, for one day you will laugh. And if wicked men insult and hate you, all because of me, blessed, blessed are you." There's a wonderful online version of this sung by John Michael Talbot, and I've put it in the text of the sermon that you can print out or even just go to it. But in the light of that song, I go back to Psalm 46 and reminded myself of all that we went through after 9/11. The psalmist reminds us to be still and know God, for in the quietness and stillness we can hear God's voice comforting us. And these are the comforting words as well. "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters rage and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult." So no matter what we face, or how afraid we are, God is our refuge and strength, even if we're not sure about that. One of my sister oblates of the Benedictine Sisters of Erie gave me a small rock with that verse from Psalm 46 that says, "Be still and know that I am God." Sometimes I carry it in my pocket, and I love the smoothness of it, and I can remember those words of comfort. God is in charge. I am not. We are assured that God is with us always, and Jesus said this to his disciples as he was about to leave them. "Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." Psalm 46 ends with these words, "The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge." Maybe Mary Oliver's assignment will help you this week. You might be surprised by what you observe. Our chapter in the Way of Love on prayer might help as well. We know that we will not have Palm Sunday and Holy Week together, and we are all saddened by that. I will miss gathering with you so much. I miss you already. But let us keep the faith. Let us find ways to help each other, and may this Lenten fast from all that we normally do together strengthen us and strengthen our faith. Carry a verse of Psalm 23 or Psalm 46 with you this week, and remember that in the whole story of salvation history, God's people have weathered the storm, and we will too. Remember that we do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us. So let us be swift to love. Let us make haste to be kind and serve God and love God and be a blessing to one another. I pray God's blessing upon each of you. Peace and love be with you this week and always. Amen.